I heard people don't understand what FPGAs are, so I'm here. I'm to make a short video trying to explain it. So the general idea of what an FPGA is inside an FPGA, it has lots and lots and lots of logic gates. Logic gates are AND or XOR NOTs, being if you have A, B as the input, C as the output, right? You have for AND gates, you have A, B. If both of them are high, then C will be high. OR gates, if one or the other is high. XOR, which is one or the other, it's exclusive OR, which is it needs to be A or B, it can't be both, whereas OR can be NOT, which is if A is high, then B will be low. If A is low, B will be high. And with that knowledge, you can now know that there's a bit more examples, but I'm going real basic right now. Basically, these are the main blocks of building a CMOS chip, which would be even your CPU or anything that's digital. It's built off these logic gates. There's obviously also multiplexers, which you take A to F as the input, and there's different, let's say, clock cycles in between them. And with select pin, you select whether you want A to go to the output, which is G, or do you want D to go to G, or whichever clock cycle you'd want to go to G. Clock cycle is an example here. You can put any sort of data in. And there's lookup tables, which are basically the simple AND gates, but you make your own custom gates. So for example, you have A, B, C, D, E, and you want the output to be high only when A, B, C is high. If anything, or any other combination is different, then it won't go high. Basically custom truth tables. And there's so much more, but I'm covering just the basics. And that is that you understand now, hopefully, that every chip is built from these gates. Now that you know the basics of how any chip works, you can now imagine what an FPGA is. It's basically a chip that can emulate, and it routes its own paths through these logic gates to make a custom chip. So you're pretty much making, in a really basic sense, you can make your own CPU, right? An AMD Ryzen CPU or a Intel Core CPU. Of course, nowhere near that advanced level, but as a basic level, you can make one of the older chips because they weren't super advanced. As for the programming language, you don't program them in something like C because you're not running code one after another. You're running them in parallel, which is one of the super good features about FPGAs. They can run everything simultaneously. It's not a program that runs one after the other. It runs all at once, because it's hardware. It's not software. You're straight up inside the FPGA. It's connecting. Let's say you want to make a button, 2 buttons for an AND gate, and you have an LED at the end, right? Which would be A, B is the input, so the button. C is the LED, right? You're literally physically inside the chip wiring it, so the button goes through an AND gate, and then C would be the output. So when you press it, it does that. I'm planning to do a video sooner explaining that on an actual physical board. I'll do it someday. Anyway, I hope you now understand the real basics of what an FPGA is. I know if you're watching this and you know what it is, I know I've skimmed over a lot, and I mean a lot, but I just want you to understand the basics of what an FPGA is. I hope this was informative, and I actually explained it somewhat differently so you understand it if you tried to understand it through a different source. And that's really it. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.